Hi, everyone who's listening to this, wherever you're listening to this, I don't know. But welcome. This is four people from AV Media. We're just here talking about
partners from AV Media.
For the four owners of AV Media. We're just going to be here talking about Dial M for Murder, an old Hitchcock movie. I'm Brahman.
I'm Riley.
Hey, I'm Justin. What's up?
And I'm Rochelle.
And welcome to the AV Media podcast, episode 1, or YouTube video, or whatever the hell this ends up being.
Who knows? This is going to be hopefully a weekly thing where we just watch a movie that we one of us picks out, and we watch the movie, and then we just talk about it a little bit. So, yep, just finished watching Dial M for Murder by Alfred Hitchcock, and yeah, let's talk about it.
Should we do a quick summary of the movie, I guess, in case people haven't watched it?
Sure, Rochelle, why don't you do that for us?
Rochelle, you're the one that chose these movies. A guy tries to murder his wife who has been cheating on him, but things go awry very quickly, and his alibi ends up getting murdered by his wife, and he has to figure something else out because plan A didn't go right. Then he tried to frame her, which almost went pretty well.
Pretty
for
close.
him.
Day
Very
away
close,
from
yeah.
hanging.
Yeah. But in the end, they figured it out.
Spoilers, but this is a film from 1958, so I mean, if you haven't watched it...
Yeah, if you haven't watched it, shame on you.
No, 54, I think.
54. Oh, yeah, it is 54. My bad, everybody. Sorry.
Yeah.
AV Media has officially been canceled. Thank you for joining us on the first and last episode of the AV Media podcast. What did everybody think? I thought it was very fun. I quite enjoyed it, actually. It was just kind of like this cat and mouse sort of thing where we kind of like followed the villain, but it was very interesting to see that character, Tony, kind of like, he thinks he's so smart. He thought it was so smart. He had it all planned out in the beginning.
Cool cat.
Right?
Tony's a cool cat.
And then instantly things were just going wrong, but it kind of worked out in his favor, funny enough.
So did you guys, for me, I thought it was interesting because I was like, Tony's obviously the bad guy and I shouldn't be cheering for him. But at times I was kind of like, I kind of hope he gets away with it.
He kind of like went through the ringer a little bit. Like, you know, she was supposed to just stay home. And she's like, I don't want to stay home. And it was just like from that moment on, he was just like struggling the entire time. And you were just like trying to be like, man, is he going to get away with this? Like, I kind of hope he does.
Yeah.
It almost became an underdog story.
For the murder.
For the murderer. For the attempted murderer.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I thought it was very fun because there were moments where it's just like you were kind of cheering for him because like you weren't really expecting it to go that well, but he was a pretty charismatic guy,
Yeah.
pretty charismatic character. So it was like,
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
Did you guys all at all expect that the murder was going to work out? Or were you
Part of me thought it might.
You're like, yeah, she's gonna get like taken out, and then that's it.
I thought that would happen, and then the writer character, whatever his name was,
Mark.
Mark was going to be the one figuring it all out. But then Mark ended up just being like a fucking idiot. Sorry, are we allowed to swear? We'll bleep it out. Mark just ended up being an idiot, and he figured it all out, but in like a hypothetical way, which I thought was kind of funny, but at the same time like infuriating.
I know,
and it was
like
like-
with the whole bank checks, he's like, no, let me look. And
The
the dude is like, freaking stop.
I think the inspector being so polite was like my favorite thing. Somebody would like do something like, try to grab evidence from him, and he was like, "Excuse me, sir, one moment," and it was just like, oh, it was great.
You want to talk about people being polite? It seemed like everyone in that movie was being so polite.
Yeah,
It was almost infuriating a little bit.
It was so weird because when
Stop being so nice.
when Tony was blackmailing the guy that he wants to kill her, Swan.
Yeah.
That's right. He was basically like telling this guy that he was just stalking him for like the past like
And
7
he was
months.
so interested. He's like, ooh,
Oh, please pray tell. Please tell me, where was I at the night of April 14th? Like, he was so interested, and yet they were so polite to each other that it's like, if this was a conversation today, I'd be like, yo, you gotta get the frick out of here.
Yeah.
I'm calling the police right now. I don't care what evidence you have on me.
How about the fact that he's like wiping his fingerprints off his cup? I thought he was gonna straight up murder him there at that
Oh,
point.
yeah.
I
I
was
thought
like,
something
oh,
that was going to happen too.
because I was like, he's just straight up like, oh, I'm just getting rid of evidence, but please tell me more.
I'm,
Please.
I'm blackmailing you.
Oh, we're gonna take that. Make sure to put on the gloves, and it's like, okay, all right, if you say so.
Yeah.
The
Seem weird.
the cinematography was kind of fun. It was kind of, it wasn't really anything new, but there were a couple of shots where I'm like,
What do you guys think about the one Dutch angle they had?
So
The
weird.
single Dutch angle. What was it when he was on the phone? He was like behind the desk doing something.
Yeah,
oh
when
gosh.
it was like he
He-
was like opening
He was about
the
to
door.
call the guy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was about to call the guy to invite him over. Right? Was that when the one Dutch angle, or was
I
it?
can't remember.
Or was it after?
I completely forget.
I
It
know
was
he-
so jarring. It
Yeah.
was just out of nowhere
Yeah.
It
too.
was weird.
And it wasn't like a slight Dutch. It was kind of like a
No,
pretty
it was-
harsh
it was-
Dutch.
it was- yeah, it was-
Because you just could see the window pane, and then it was
Yeah.
like on this angle, and you're just like, that's not right.
yeah.
Mhm.
They used quite a bit of like low angles too on Tony too. Like I noticed.
Mm.
I guess it makes him more
More
dominant.
imposing.
But did you guys like notice that like the dolly like from behind Swan when they were having that conversation? It was like behind Swan, and there's like lamp left around, and it would like go in and out and around.
Mm.
I don't know if you like. I was just like watching the movie of the dolly, and I'm like, this is like such an interesting angle. And then they were like going in and out
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
I noticed there
from
was, like,
behind them. I was like, this is so weird. And then they pulled back when he stood up, and then they went back in. They
Yeah.
held that shot for a really long time. It was just like quite a different like angle too.
I think that's a product of like just like the longer shots. I noticed that too because it was like there was times like really still shots that when like they'd be sitting just talking and the camera would just be still for like a while and it would just be like whole conversation would be like one shot, which I think that's a pretty common thing for like
but
older movies.
It was just weird that like it was just interesting at least like like the composition of the shot and then the like movement of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then immediately after it had that shot where it like panned up from like his
His
hands
That-
and then to his
yeah.
face.
that
Yeah.
shot too. I was like, why?
It's- yeah,
Like,
because
he was doing nothing.
Yeah, because sometimes like with these movies, like they'll show a shot and you know that you're meant to see that, but that didn't feel like you meant to see.
I had
you
a
didn't need
really
to see
funny
that.
thought when that shot came on. I was like, the camera operator fell asleep, and it was like, and then there was like, oh, kind of cool. He was like, I meant to do that, guys.
The storytelling was really, really good.
It
But yeah,
was.
there were times where the cinematography was a little funky.
Yeah.
The sequence when Swan is in the apartment and like you can see like the shadow and stuff and he's kind of like moving in and out with a little bit more of that high angle. That was pretty fun.
That was cool. Yeah,
It was
yeah.
very
But it
tense.
kind of made me feel like that looked like a set to me more so when it went up high.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, there was that sequence when
kind
he
of-
was
Yeah.
Explaining it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, this feels like a set now.
But it was cool, like that they used the high angle because then you could see the whole, like you can visualize like the murder that he's planning.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was almost like a map.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And it was like, yeah, he was going through it all. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
How about the she's up for the trial there and like the
Oh,
little
the
face
That was-
morph
time
movement there
Yeah.
and then the like goes to red.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of like the movie wasn't super abstract
It didn't quite sink
except for that, and then there was the random shot of like the judge and somebody like put
I thought he
something
was
on
a
his.
fake dude. I
What?
thought he was
Like a
literally
wax
like
figure.
oh, yeah.
Is that
But
like
then he blinked and I was
is
like,
that
oh,
like
he's a real
something
human.
they used to do in trial?
I have no
Like I don't
idea.
know, and like that was just really maybe it's a product of just like that's not something that's done anymore. So
It's
we
just
don't
like the
know.
wardrobe person coming in and then just like
oh, you forgot your
to-
hat, sir. Here's a piece of paper.
Here's what I think. So, maybe back in the
50s.
1950s, that we didn't know that the little thing didn't go on his head until she was convicted as guilty. So I also noticed that the thing that they put on his head was black. So theoretically, what if
Oh.
when you're convicted guilty, they put the black little thing on your head, but if you're not guilty, then they put the white thing on the judge's head.
Why would they put it on the judge's head though?
That was the judge, wasn't it?
Yeah, but why?
Listen, to our 7 viewers out in the audience, please let us know in the comments. We would love to know.
56 now.
Yeah.
Shoot. Okay.
Darn.
Oh, and there goes another.
Hey,
Our hypothetical
one up.
followers.
Okay.
Oh,
Hey,
it's Rachel.
listen, if you're still
It's
listening,
her.
please, if you know anything, please stick around. We would love
Let
to
us
know
know.
more.
Tell us why
Yeah.
they put that little. I mean, we could probably Google it ourselves,
Yeah.
and there'd probably be an answer.
No. People in the sorry, making that peak.
Destroyed.
I'm sorry. People
Oh.
in the audience, let us know in the comments below. And hey, like, subscribe, and all of that good stuff. We did not mention that before.
We've been recording for what, like 2 minutes, and you've already tried to plug us.
Well,
It's actually probably been 12. Oh my god.
I know. Time's flying by. Hey, thanks for still joining us to all those that are still here.
Okay, welcome back from commercials.
Intermission.
Do you want a Group A hat?
What quick intermission.
It's waterproof.
Did you guys figure out the whole key thing before it was explained?
No.
You did
I
mention
did.
it. and then
Yeah,
started
I figured it as soon as, because I started thinking about it. Because there's the weird sequence where the inspector like purposefully dropped his key and then
Yeah.
picked it up. Because I think he was trying to figure out where, what's his name, Tony had his key, so he would swap them. Right.
Mhm.
That's when I was like, oh. And that's when it clicked for me, like why, like the key was important, right?
Mhm.
And I think that's when I started formulating. It took me a couple minutes after that, but then I was like, okay, he
But-
got the wrong key from
Yeah.
his pocket.
But you
I
might have
didn't-
known
I
that
didn't-
was Swan's key, though.
No, I did. I didn't know where the other key was. I thought Swan would have both keys. But then, because I didn't realize Swan had put the key back under the carpet, I just knew that Tony had
Was that
grabbed
what it
Swan's
was?
key from the.
No, I don't think that's what it was.
Yeah, it was. Swan,
It was.
So
But-
Swan took
oh.
the key, unlocked the door, and then put it back under the carpet,
Oh, yeah.
and then went in. So then Tony grabbed Swan's key. And so,
Which-
yeah, so
okay, that's what okay.
I didn't realize where the other key was, but I knew he had Swan's key. And I didn't know how the inspector was going to figure that out. Like, that blew my, like,
Yeah.
of course, like the writing. And of course, the inspector just breaking and entering, that was fun.
Yeah.
That's definitely a normal cop thing to do.
I don't know if you're allowed to do that. I
Or-
definitely questioned his actions.
And
in that
like
moment.
tricking people, like can cops do that? Can cops like trick people by like staging it and being like, if he checks where the key should be? What kind of a gamble was that too? If he pieces together everything we've pieced
I know.
together right now, he'll figure out that the key is there still.
That was such a gamble,
Yeah.
and it worked. I mean,
It
worked. It
storytelling
paid off.
wise.
The best is when he's like, oh, he's walking down the street, and he's like only taking
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah.
Oh, he's halfway down the
It's
road.
like-
He's like still at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
Oh, he's figuring it out. Oh,
Oh yeah, the narration there was great.
I know. He was pretty great.
Funny enough, like he was a late addition, like as the cast, but he was fun. I like
Yeah.
the inspector
Yeah.
a lot. He was a fun character.
Again, just his like polite demeanor the whole time was hilarious to me. It was
Mhm.
like, imagine if you were like involved in a murder and he was the inspector who like was dealing with it. Like, I don't know.
Well, he was very pushy when
He was,
there
he
was
was.
hints of just like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe Margot was the person that killed the guy
Yeah.
on purpose.
And-
He was
and-
super pushy.
And there was some like misogyny sprinkled
Yeah, like
in the movie, and I mean that's probably just a product of the time, I'd like to think.
Mhm.
But like, yeah, the whole like Tony just being a complete like dingus to his wife and going like, she's like, I want to go to a movie, and he's like, no, you're staying here and cutting out newspaper clippings of
Yeah.
when I was a pro tennis player. Get to work. Like, I was like, at that moment, I was like, I'm no longer cheering for you, Tony.
Yeah,
like,
it
you're
kinda
just a
felt
dick.
like that
Like,
too.
you know what?
It was very
Killing your
manipulative.
wife, okay, but being a dick to her beforehand, that's too far from me.
Your
Like-
wife, okay.
He was putting up such a fit too. It's like, well, you know what? If you're not going to clip these things, then I'm just going to stay home.
I don't feel like you have to when you're like, I'm
And it was like this center shot of him too, like he looked like
I'm just going to call the place and tell him we just can't make it anymore. Oh, shh. Oh, no, darling, don't be so childish. I'll stay here when you clip
I
the
like
things.
how Mark is just standing there being like, you son of a bitch.
So stupid. But that just shows, like, there was even a line where it's just like, well, if I was to kill someone I loved or whatever, it's like, something's going to go wrong. And of course, like, you know,
yeah.
immediately something went wrong. And it's just like, okay, Tony had to change his entire plan, and it
Yeah.
turned out to be something completely different.
But honestly, he like the fact that he like figured out a new plan in approximately like 27 seconds,
Yeah.
and then like like burned the thing and then like grabbed the new stockings. I was like, what is he like doing? What is his plan with these
I couldn't
stockings?
figure out.
It was
And-
cool to like see him like trying to figure out and like you're trying to see where he's like going with all this stuff. Like plot it all out.
Yeah.
Like you're kind of like
absolutely.
watching in real time, and I think that was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when I watch kind of movies like this, I try to figure it out before they do. And this movie, like,
The key.
the key, like, I kind of figured that one out, but nothing else. I was like, what's gonna go? Like, I didn't figure any of it out.
You know,
I was trying to piece it all together, and I
Yeah.
was just kind of like, all right, he's burning them, and he's putting new ones there, and
Yeah.
I guess it's just a testament to Hitchcock's, mastery of filmmaking.
What's the deal with the carpet though? Why did he
Oh, yeah, why did he
adjust the
straighten
carpet?
the carpet? Yeah.
I was like, is he hiding something?
Maybe it was him going like, aha, yes, it's all good. I've done it, kind of thing, right?
Well-
He's like straightening it out a little bit.
Like, hide the evidence. Nobody will know that
Well,
somebody died.
not hiding the
here.
evidence, but he's almost like, it was almost like this proud moment of like, aha, I've convinced them that my wife is the killer. I'm perfect.
But it's
He's
like
just
the idea that the
I don't
blood's
know.
still there.
but I didn't really
Yeah.
get that impression because he literally
He
was
looks
like
panicked,
straight.
right? I thought I know. I thought he was going to do something else too. I thought he was going to go like he like noticed something else.
Maybe,
But
I'm not
I
sure.
don't know.
You know, for a tennis player, he has some really quick
Well, he's
thinking.
been thinking about it for years. Yeah. That's true. He had a line even at the beginning when he was like, "I'm not smart. I've just been thinking about it for years." And I was like, "No, you're pretty smart, dude."
Yeah.
Really?
Well, he's being.
Took a lot of improvisation classes.
He did.
So much.
Yeah, he really
'Cause
did.
I couldn't think of that.
I couldn't
Save
either.
my life.
No.
Yeah.
I think we'd all be convicted. Although, to be fair though, had he just left it all and not like changed anything, sure his wife wouldn't have been like convicted of murder, but they wouldn't have been able to connect him to it.
Yes, but how else would he get the money?
If you could just plan another murder. Like honestly, like what like how does insurance money work? Like if your wife is killed, like executed, do you still get the money?
Well, if
It was
it's-
implied that way.
Yeah, he's still technically in the will. So she...
Oh, I guess if she died, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like there should be a clause in something like that. It's like,
Why?
well, I don't know. Just in case,
What?
somebody, he tried to
Then
murder. I don't
maybe
know.
they're like, oh, you're the husband, you're still alive, so maybe.
Yeah. Maybe there's a chance that you just
He's
did
like, but I
this.
wasn't even, I was in California. No, there's still a chance. You still
There should be like a hold on the money or something, maybe. But,
Yeah.
I mean,
a hold on the money, what? Till what?
I don't know. Until it's like totally clear,
Yeah.
We've
gone through all your messages.
Yeah.
This guy goes through hell after his wife has been murdered, and then they're like, but you don't get the money yet.
No.
That's the sequel.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That's the sequel.
Yeah.
Alternate dimension sequel,
The sequel's actually, he was framed the whole time by Mark. And so
What?
now Mark is, and now the inspector's trying, who's actually Tony's secret lover, is trying to get Tony off of death row. That's the sequel. Write it.
This is-
interesting.
This is a very wild theory you have here, and I'd love to see it in its full fruition. Yeah. Who is everybody's favorite character?
The inspector.
Yeah?
The inspector was great. Yeah.
He's pretty good.
Or the friend at the stag party who's just telling his story.
What?
What? That was pretty spontaneous. That kind of like stopped to
I
tell him
like-
what time it was and then resume his
And then,
story immediately
like,
afterwards.
Did not miss a beat and just kept going.
I
Yeah.
like the guy that would stomp when Tony was
Stomp.
coming.
Dude, and that was his one credit, was he stomped on the floor, peeked his head out, and then when Tony went to like leave, he was just standing there at the door.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was a great sequence when he comes in, turns on the light, sees Mark and Margot, and then like turns and the inspector's there, and then like it was the most like casual trying to get out the door too. It wasn't like it was just like open, nope, closed.
The other inspector was like,
Yeah.
okay, well, cat's out of the bag now, is it? Anyone want a drink?
Yeah,
That was pretty good.
How suave.
I like the inspector when he's just petting his mustache.
Yeah,
Yeah, right, fair.
See,
People
okay,
actually do that? Like, it's...
it was a little weird because I felt like that would have made more sense if he did that earlier in the film, and I might have missed it if he did it before,
I don't
but
think he did.
No.
he's just like, oh, another job well done.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I do that too. Whenever I
Oh my gosh, what is that? Rochelle, who's your favorite character?
don't say Joe.
Can we cut that out?
Editor.
I like the inspector.
Oh, everyone loves
I
the
liked,
inspector.
yeah.
You know, I like Mark. Mark had a silliness to him. And at the start, he was just like, "Oh, but darling, we should probably tell Tony that you and I are lovers and stuff like that." He was trying to be a good guy, you know. And you know what? He was pulling out all the stops to try and make sure that Margot wasn't killed.
Oh yeah,
It's true.
He was trying
He
everything.
even figured out the murder.
Yeah.
to stop Margot from
Unintentionally.
being killed. But still, like, okay. The reason I like the inspector though is because he was the only character who didn't have like some sort of like nefariousness about him, if that makes sense. Like Mark and Margot were like, Mark was actively cheating with Margot and he knew she was married. Margot was cheating on her husband, kind of like dick move, like don't do that. Viewers out there, just so you know, don't do that. And then Tony like tried to murder his wife. I didn't like any of them. It was like they're all just kind of assholes. Like,
yeah, I know, it was kind of weird. Like Margot, I didn't know how I felt about Margot because she was like, "Oh, I love you, Mark, but we can't be together." And then she's like, "But he's so much better because he quit tennis. And I love him because he's quitting tennis."
But yet I'm actively seeing you, so it's like...
So like Mark's just like stuck around like this little puppy on a like leash.
True. Yeah.
And then she's like, "Oh, woe is me. My husband wants to kill me because I made him quit tennis. The thing that he loves."
I need you now.
Mark.
Yeah, that was...
But then she's like, "Oh, I love you." And then yeah, like poor Mark, man. He's just kind of been through the ringer.
Yeah, but Mark's a real one.
Yeah.
I stand by my statement when Mark is like one of my favorite characters in this film. And you know what? I think Swan needed more screen time. Just saying, he had such a fiendish look to him.
Yeah.
True. We haven't actually talked about Swan.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Honestly, good on him though for like keeping like, I guess we kind of touched on this, but keeping such a calm demeanor about him when he's being blackmailed. Like,
when Tony, or I guess when Tony was answering the phone call from Margot, and after him and Swan had the like sort of discussion about him possibly murdering his wife, I really liked how he was kind of like, while Tony was on the phone, Swan was like, so if she comes in through here and the light shines on here, like he's trying to like, he's figuring it out in his head, and then eventually like he's looking at the money, and you knew it's like, yeah, he's gonna take it. He's gonna take the money, and then the score kicks in, and you're like, okay,
yeah.
that was really fun.
Yeah.
One thing that really bothered me, and I don't know how many times it happened, but we talked about it when the movie ended. It was like, "Oh, I left something in the other room. Can you go get that for me?" Yeah, sure, I'll be right back. And then like alters the evidence or takes the evidence or something,
or starts talking to someone else like, I actually know you've been cheating on your husband. Why? Blah 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 blah. Yeah,
it happens so many times, like 8 times.
Yeah. And what was it? One of them was like, "Can you go check to see the gate is locked?"
Yeah, yeah.
"Oh yes, I'll be right back." 5 minutes later.
Yeah. But then it's like, oh, he's coming back from the police station.
Yeah.
It was like 30 seconds later. It's like, wow, that literally is like right there. How did it take the police so long to get there in the first place? Enough time for him to manipulate the entire crime scene when they're literally like across the street.
Yeah, time frames didn't make sense for sure.
Crop circles, the pyramids, they don't make sense. But you know what doesn't make a lot of sense? That.
I think that sentence didn't make it.
You know, it sounded a lot better in my head, but you know what? We're gonna cut that out.
Really trying to piece that one together.
Editor, please take that out.
I also like the cameo.
Keep going.
The Hitchcock cameo, like it was just like so obvious. Like
it's
it was just
blatant.
a picture because like he's in like I think like every one of his movies, and some of it's like not as obvious.
They're really obscure.
Yeah, but that one was just like, oh, there he is. Like,
here's a picture of you in the thing. And it's just like Alfred Hitchcock is like leaning in, like
yeah, not smiling or anything. And what about the cigar in the guy's mouth in that
So
picture?
Superimposed.
I mean, granted, we can't. It's an old
He was
movie,
just
okay?
smoking
We can't like.
cigar that
we
was
can't-
like the size of his face, like.
But it looked like
it's like
it looked
3D on the
burned
picture.
onto the
It's like
picture.
a 5-pound cigar he's smoking.
We can't really judge the movie on its visuals, and
But the one thing though that I can say is the movie has aged pretty well. Besides the
Absolutely.
little bit of misogyny and the like certain things that we wouldn't necessarily have today, like executions, you know.
Mhm.
It's still
And
like an
hanging.
enjoyable
And hanging.
movie.
Mhm.
But I was really like into it. Like
Yeah.
what is
Yeah.
it, like 2.5 2?
No,
At
it was-
1:45.
It was 1:45. Yeah.
1:45.
That's what- yeah.
But it
wasn't
was
too
it
bad.
was pretty engaging.
I
Like,
liked it.
through and through.
It was just like it was like that subtle. It was like always tense, but like it was like very subtle about it. It's
Mhm.
like oh
And you didn't
Oh
really know what
no,
was
you're gonna figure
happening,
it
like
out?
where it was
Mhm.
going.
yeah.
What happened.
It was still a mystery. I mean, like Bramman figured out near the end, but I was like through the whole thing, like, where is this going? What is gonna happen? I have no clue.
I was struggling understanding the Swan's key thing.
Mhm.
But then once he kind of explained it, I was like, because he even said before, he's like, oh, all these latch keys look the same.
Yeah.
So clearly that's a latch key that was on him, that was his, that looked the same as the one that he gave to him for his place.
Yeah, I there wasn't any like red herrings, were there? Like everything ended up connecting in the end. Like almost every line of dialogue had like purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There wasn't like any like throwaway lines or anything.
No, all of it seems pretty intentional.
It wasn't like your next door neighbor is a porn star and then never mentioned again.
Mm.
Oh God, what movie was that?
Day shift.
Day Shift.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
so
that was
bad.
that Netflix special with
Never
Jamie Foxx.
watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an interesting line. Yeah, every line was perfectly placed in this movie. It seemed like it wasn't
Except the
throwaway
rug.
lines,
The rug was a little bit of a like.
Yeah.
but it wasn't
Yeah.
a line. It was just.
But
an
there also
action.
was a shot to it, and also he adjusted it, and I was like, "What's
Yeah,
the whole deal
why?
with the rug?"
Why? Yeah.
Like you can see the inspector looks down at the rug, and I was like, "Oh, he's just covering up the blood," but then he's just like fixing it. And I don't know. It just
maybe
felt
maybe
like
it's got some, like it's got to have something to do with like his like
him
psyche,
covering
like
up a
covering
murder,
it up or
like
something.
covering up a
Yeah.
murder. Like maybe it's
Yeah.
more obvious like that.
altering the scene. Maybe, maybe.
He
Still,
just thinks he's so
Or
good at it.
maybe showing how like he's like a bit of like a perfectionist in a
Yeah,
way, you
yeah,
know,
he
like when
doesn't-
something went wrong, he started panicking, right? So everything had to be, he had it all planned out and he had it all perfect. And then maybe that rug was some sort of representation how it didn't go as planned, but then he still like straightened it out.
I don't know how a tennis player could become such a psychopath. Like straight up, like from
got hit in
playing
the head.
tennis, and like he got that mad about just not playing tennis and his wife cheating on him that he's like, oh,
Can you imagine though, just having like that stain, like of blood, and you just have a rug now over top of it, like, and still living in that house.
Yeah.
Like you're like, oh yeah, that's just someone else's blood. They're dead.
Well, I feel like you either
Like,
get
I
that
would move out.
cleaned or like you get the carpet redone or something.
Yeah,
I think, yeah, something like that.
Also,
but it was still
Also, why didn't she call the police?
because he
he told
I
her
know
not
he
to.
told her not to, but like that made me like her
She's
even less because it was,
dumb.
yeah.
I don't know. And then
he
he
almost
was,
was killed.
yeah.
I don't know.
I got no idea. Because she was very frightened that she was about to get absolutely just killed.
And isn't that the purpose of calling the police?
Not
Yes.
when your husband in the 1950s tells you not to.
Yes.
Perfect
my
housewife.
husband was an ex-professional tennis player. I will do whatever he says.
I love him so much because he changed after
Because he's
playing
not playing
tennis.
tennis. Because I hated when he played tennis.
Because he traveled
Didn't
the
know-
world and was very successful.
I cheated on him when he was playing tennis.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
It didn't really
Yeah.
make you feel bad for her at all.
No.
And then she's like, I'm going to have a near breakdown. And I'm like, all right.
Oh my gosh, Mark's line. Okay, but
It will be wonderful.
you'll have the most wonderful breakdown.
What about the inspector's line? It was something. What did he say? He was like,
Just
he was
hold on
like,
for a
just
little
hold on a
longer."
moment. Yeah.
Don't freak out just
Keep
yet,
tight.
okay?
Keep tight.
We just told you your husband was trying to murder you, but hold on. We're catching him right now. We got him.
Hey, watch this.
Oh, you think it's bad now? Check this out.
The movie just like oozed like that like that idea of like everybody knows that the other person knows what they know, and so it's just like a game of like see, I knew you knew I knew you knew, and therefore I replaced the key.
It's like Clue, basically.
Yeah,
Like-
exactly.
Except for freaking Mark, man. He was just
Yeah, Mark-
guessing stuff like, oh, we could just tell him this and this and this, and it ends up being true. And like
Exactly.
Mark, in a way, seemed like he knew, but he had no idea. And then he ended up being completely right.
I was waiting for something like because Mark already had it all planned out, right?
Yeah.
Like already figured it out, and so I was waiting for him to like he was getting Tony to try and slip up, but then it never happened.
I thought that too. Actually, I was like, oh, maybe he's gonna like catch him in a lie.
I was no. Listen, Mark, you're not that smart, buddy. I almost wish that like when Mark was saying to Tony like the whole plan that Tony just like sat down, pulled out a cigar, and was just like, "Sure, you figured it out, huh?" And Mark went, "What?" Wait, what?
Hard cut. The end.
Yeah. Still, I actually really enjoyed that. I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I did. So yeah, I recommend watching that one. It's pretty good.
It's good. Yeah, we got. I think it gets the AV mark of approval.
Wait,
the mark of approval. Yeah.
If you were to give it a rating,
I'd give it.
Out of 10.
I'd give it
out of 5.
7 attempted murders out of 10.
7. Really?
He did have a lot of attempts to cover up a murder. That's for sure. 7 attempts to cover.
Yeah, I just pulled that number out of nowhere.
Do you actually believe it's a 7?
I think somewhere around a 7. Yeah.
Okay.
I think 7 or 8. I'd say.
I would say it's definitely an 8.
Yeah, I don't like it as much as some of Hitchcock's other movies, like Birds and Psycho. Your most famous movies, probably. But I still thought I still enjoyed it. But yeah, it wasn't my favorite Hitchcock movie. I haven't seen them all. Disclaimer.
I think it falls in the middle for me of like all the other ones I've seen. I haven't seen all of them, but like middle near the higher end, I think.
What would you rate it then?
Probably like a 7.5 or something. Yeah.
That's pretty good. Yeah. Riley?
I would say an 8. Could go a little higher in this one. It wasn't as good as Rear Window.
Yeah,
I would say I like that one a lot. And Psycho is just a cult classic, so can't really go against that. But I like that it kept me on my toes because there's a lot of movies now that I feel like really struggle to hide the truth from you, or you're like things are happening in real time and you're not able to figure it out. Like it feels like movies aren't really smart anymore. So it kind of is really refreshing to watch something from like the 50s and for you to be like, oh, like what is he doing? Why is he doing this? What is gonna happen?
Are you saying that The Flash isn't a smart movie?
I mean, I haven't seen it, but
I haven't either. But
what are you talking about?
She said movies aren't smart anymore.
I said they aren't as smart, but
yeah.
I love movies like that. Like they just like, catch you off guard, you don't know what to expect. I like that sort of thing.
The Flash?
No, I'm not talking about The Flash. Let's not talk about The Flash. Everybody, this is a 1954 film, Dial M for Murder by Alfred Hitchcock, and we're talking about that. We're not going to talk about The Flash. You kidding me? What movie? Not that one. That wasn't really the least favorite moment. It really kept me engaged. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
the whole like strangling scene like after was like so classic. Like and she like goes out the window and it's like the wind is blowing and it's just like she's like holding her neck and she's like, and then I think like just her whole interaction with like her husband is just like so crunchy. Like,
go to bed, darling. Go to bed. You almost were murdered, but just go to bed. Everything's fine.
You don't need to talk to the police officers. I got it.
Yeah.
That whole sequence was very, very dramatic.
Yeah.
It was kind of comical, but I think it was part of the charm of just
also, like if a dude was stabbed by scissors and they like went into his back, I'm pretty sure there'd be a lot more blood. And even they were like, there's not much blood. And I was like,
I think my favorite part is how he like fell over immediately when he was stabbed, and it was like, wait, he died instantly, and then he like got back up.
That's my
and like
favorite
started
part,
spinning
actually.
around, and then because he didn't die from the scissors, he died from falling on them on his back when they're in his back.
But his
So he just, like,
stab was like so dramatic. It was like, oh, and then he like did this whole like back curl thing. Like,
I thought she was gonna go more for like the neck, and then she went like it was like the
right in the
mid
back.
back.
Yeah.
Like, definitely had to reach there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was the twirled around, then he lands on the ground. He's like, oh.
And
I
then
think this is now my second favorite death scene in a movie.
What's your first?
My first was from that one French movie, old French movie, The guy gets shot in the back. And like,
Oh my god.
That's like,
Where he's running down
He's
the
running down the
road
road.
with his
Yeah.
arm behind his
Runs
back.
like a full block.
Yeah, he goes so
there's this weird like
far.
wobble. Yeah.
I need to watch that scene again
think
just because that was so
Th-
fun.
Nothing
it's so
compares
funny.
to like old movies and like their death scenes. They're so dramatic and so good.
dramatic.
So good.
They're like so polite, and then it's like super
Yeah.
dramatic.
Who wants to see someone get shot once and die?
No.
Boring. Let's see them like run down the street for 20 minutes.
Twirl around, flailing their arms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should do something like that.
Just like
That'd be fun.
super.
Stay tuned,
They
everybody.
could do a sketch, like how
How to
recreate,
dramatically
like,
die?
Yeah.
Yeah, the most dramatic death ever.
Hey, don't take our idea. Hey, yeah, I see you writing that down. Don't you do that, okay? We're on it, okay?
Or give us money to fund our ideas.
Let's settle
Link
down.
in
Go
the,
fund.
just- yeah.
No, don't you don't link in the description. Oh no, that doesn't make sense.
GoFundMe, we're broke. At Group A.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys
Um,
think? Should we wrap it up?
I think so. We've been recording for a while. Who knows? This might sound like shit. Who knows? I'm sorry for the audio. By
Imagine
the
he
way,
did hit record.
our setup is amazing right now. We currently have
Ottoman?
an ottoman, and then the Witcher Old World board game on top of that with a mic sitting there, and we're all just kind of like sitting around it. So
circle.
just a visual representation of our current gear.
Yeah, our
So,
current setup.
do we know who's next to pick the next 3 movies?
I think it was.
I was trying to figure that out actually.
Should we have an
probably.
order,
Did
or
we
should
write
we
it?
do?
We wrote it down.
We did write it down.
We have
wrote the names.
what?
Yeah, you weren't here. You
Oh.
unfortunately
Second
weren't
for
present.
you.
Oh.
Um,
And this whole time I thought that we chose Rochelle because it was her birthday.
Yeah, sorry.
ladies and
Oh my
gentlemen,
god.
in the comments, please wish Rochelle a happy birthday.
Happy belated birthday.
That's
No,
right.
just happy birthday.
Just happy
Okay.
birthday.
It's her birthday.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
whenever
By
you-
the time that you're listening to this
It'll be
right now, it is
Released
Rochelle.
next year on.
It'll be Rochelle's birthday.
And in fact, even if you listen to it the next day, it will again be Rochelle's birthday.
Yeah.
For in fact, Rochelle is rebirthed every day,
What?
just like Kenny
What?
from South Park.
What
No.
the heck? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today for the first AV Media podcast about watching movies just because we want to.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, if you're still listening.
You're probably not, honestly.
If you made it to the very end, thank you so
Here's,
much for
Thank
here's,
listening.
you.
here's a secret.
And then you say comment like this word.
Whoa.
What? No,
Oh my
I'm about to give them the
Exclusive.
secret. This is-
Exclusive
this is-
end of the video, end of the podcast.
big old secret.
Yeah, here it is.
Justin sucks.